Hi, are you new to quilting and you've created your first quilt top? You're getting to the quilting part and then somebody says, why don't you try Stitch in the Ditch? It's really easy. Well, I don't think it is the right thing for beginner quilters to do. So let me switch camera and explain exactly why. I am Kim, this is Quilt with Kim. You're very welcome. Let's go take a look. Here we are then with a half square triangle block. I've put the camera in really close so that you can see what I am talking about. Now, if you have been considering Stitch in the Ditch, if somebody has suggested this to you, this is what this quilting stitch is requiring you to do. It means that you have to line this seam line, any of the seam lines, up underneath your walking foot. You have to get the needle right in that gap there in the ditch of the seam between any two pieces of fabric where they've come together, and you have to stitch exactly in that gap in the ditch as you go down any of your seams. It can look really effective, and if you want to give it a go, please do give it a go. But I would suggest this is not the easiest thing to do for beginners. It's quite challenging, I think, because you've got to keep your needle in a straight line in that ditch without letting it stray either side of your seam lines. When I started trying Stitch in the Ditch, it took a little while to get it right. So yeah, it's one that comes with practice. But I think right at the beginning, if you want to be quilting and getting an effective look, then Stitch in the Ditch is probably not one to start with. It's also not very easy to unpick. Quilting is not easy to unpick anyway, but Stitch in the Ditch is more difficult than most because it's right in this little gap here. Also, the other thing is that your seam lines here sometimes just aren't straight. That's not you getting things wrong. That's just because we've got a movable feast of fabric and we've got thread, and it does move around, and you don't always get this 100% true straight line. So although your machine and your walking foot want to go in a straight line, this may not be. So you're trying to follow a straight line, but the seam here isn't. So you're going to have to really concentrate and get close in to see what you're doing. Can you see why that my opinion is, and it is just my opinion, if you want to try it, go for it, but you can see why my opinion might be that this is quite a challenging stitch if you're a complete beginner at quilting. So what do I suggest? Yes, I do have a solution. What I suggest is you get your walking foot. You've obviously got all this attached to your machine. You use the edges of the prongs of your walking foot and you line these up against the edges of the seam. It doesn't matter which seam that we've decided to quilt on. Let's just do this triangle here. And needle is coming down the central bit here. That prong is lining up against the seam line, and then you can have a stitch line coming down here where your needle would be. Okay, so you can come down there and you can turn and you can go along, so you'll end up with a little echo of the seam inside that triangle. Perhaps you'd like one outside the shape as well. It's entirely up to you. So you look at your finished block and decide where you want to quilt. I've got a whole video on how to choose your quilting design, so check that out. It will pop up right at the end. But this is a far easier quilting stitch for you to do when you are a beginner. So if you think you're going to find it a bit of a challenge to see in that amount of detail and that close up into your seams, maybe Stitch in the Ditch really isn't one that you can do, and have a look at one of the other techniques and echoing the seam line instead. That's a far easier beginner friendly quilting stitch to do. And if you want to check out how to work out your quilting designs and figure out how you're going to design your quilt, check out this video that is coming up about now, whichever way it's popping up, and I will see you in the next video. I hope this has helped. Do let me know how you get on, and I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.